G'day, down here at Cape Gloucester, and I'm just going to make a little video for school leavers, because I had a comment on one of the videos that I did recently. I don't remember what I was talking about particularly, but spiritual stuff no doubt, but the comment was that school leavers need to hear this, so I thought, well, I'll do one for school leavers, because we have been trying to get this project into the schools and get the idea that A Course in Miracles and all that sort of associated stuff is helpful in this modern days, I guess, because young people especially don't really grow up with a sense of self in the home that perhaps generations in the past, and only going back 3 or 4 generations really, you know, but there would have been a time in Australiana where probably all the old people in your family unit would have gone to church on a Sunday, and not that I'm advocating church as the be-all end-all for anything, I'm not, but the values and things that you can pick up in churches and temples and things like that are fantastic. I'm not into the dogma and the religiosity of it all, but all that kind of thinking, you know, love your neighbour and do, you know, forgive and all that sort of stuff. So this video is aimed at school leavers. You're going to be out pretty soon into the big wide world. It's what are we? It's late September, so another couple of months, and there'll be a whole bunch of years finishing year 12 and then out into the unemployment racket, the bloody tertiary education racket, the fucking whatever. And you probably start to wonder for yourselves, what the fuck? What am I going to do? You know, or maybe you're going to go travelling the world or do something if you're lucky enough to have a few bob behind you. But having a purpose, right? Setting a goal and having a purpose. If you don't set a goal, right? And I know people go, oh, goals, I've got to work towards it. That reminds me of work and it's a head fuck and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. A goal is something you set for your own interest, your own achievement. It's not about how many cars you got in the garage or any of that shit. It's about how you find yourself and how you come to accept yourself and love yourself as a person in the world. And when you get into that, when you come from that place in all your doings, right, then all your doings begin to line up to that. So as I've mentioned in other videos, it's like, I like the goal of inner peace. Right, it's the middle path. It's right here in the heart space and the disciplined mind. It's not way off over here somewhere on the negative side or up here on the positive side. It's just in a calm kind of centered place. And from that calm kind of centered place, you can see both sides. You can see what goes on this side and what goes on that side, and you can make reasonable decisions about things in your life. If you're all the time depressed, that's all you see. If you're all the time high up in the other end, woohoo, you know, like, that's all you see, because you're too far from the others, you know, so too far away from that. So the middle path and learning to stay here in the center, I set my goal as inner peace, and then I'll go off and I'll get a job, or I'll go off and I'll travel the world or whatever, go to college. And the situations that show up for me, right, and I'll speak in the first person, the situations that show up for me in those adventures, let's say, are the very things that I apply spiritual principles to help me maintain that sense of self, or that peaceful place where I can come to know myself as a peaceful person, because the reflections I begin to get in the world as I apply my principles to things that drag me out of that peaceful place are showing me that I'm able to find my way back there without help. Right now, initially, the help comes from your higher consciousness. There's a leap of faith involved where you embrace the idea of a co-creative, if you like, higher power, universal mind, God, whatever you want to call it. And you use the concepts and the ideas and the principles that are associated with that idea to look at the situations in your life and be able to apply those to those situations through faith initially, until you have enough experiences that you realise that faith isn't required, because there's obviously something supporting you, which is the universal flow or God. and you're able to bring yourself back to your centre all the time. When you leave school, when you're out there in the world, your mind is not mature. Trust me on this one. I know I've got a teenage son and he thinks he's a bit of all that, and he's getting at his thing, you know, and other guys that I know out there, teenage age, and there's a saying in spiritual circles that the more you talk, the less you know. And I talk a fair bit, I know jack shit. But you'll hear a lot of people, right, this is for all your school, you'll hear a lot of people tell you a lot of stuff about all sorts of things. And it's going to seem pretty bad on one side of the scale, or it might seem pretty amazing on the other side of the scale. And you're consciously going to start to involve yourself in the stories and events that unfold before you in your own individual drama or dream or experience, whatever you want to call that, of life. And you're going to ascribe value and meaning to things, not that way, more that way, or whatever. But as you do that, it's like a set of scales, you know. As you do that, you're going to start putting things in. No, I don't want that, don't want that, and don't want that's going to become heavier. And the stuff that you do want, you know, it's just going to be offsetting that. And it's going to be this constant struggle to keep the fucking balance, you know, between things. And you'll realise that because life is dualistic and yin yang, you'll realise that you can't fill up the good basket without the bad basket, you know, because the scales go out of balance, and the scales are your life. Right? Now, I'm not talking about balance, because there's nothing more unstable than the idea of balance. Can you hear that? But what I'm talking about is training your mind, consciously using the situations that are in front of you to train yourself, to bring yourself back here, so that when you go for a job interview, or when you go to college, or when you go to whatever, you're in this place where you're focused, where you're listening, where you're open-minded, where you're not living off judgments and ideas based on past and future, or better and worse and stuff like that. You're allowing each moment to be perfect as it is, and experience what it is that is your life in that moment. Your life is not a collection of past thoughts. Your life is not a collection of future hopes and dreams. It's now. It's this moment. Listening to this video and watching this tattooed fucker here just tell you some shit. It's like, holy fuck, what's this guy talking about, right? The purpose of your life here is to find yourself. It's not about getting a job and dying with the most toys. It's not that crap. It's not about having 100 kids and producing a progeny, you know, it's not. If you do all that stuff, that's fantastic. But you're here to find yourself. You're here on a spiritual journey, and you're here to discover who you are by learning how to stay focused and allowing the world not to tell you who you are, but for you to have this great adventure of living in the now, living in the moment, and experiencing yourself in relationship to all the things that are out there around you, that gives you opportunities to be happy and be peaceful and be passionate about the life that you have been given. This gift, it's incredible. You know, I mean, fuck, look where I am. There you go, cop that. Well, I love you, and I'm only here for a couple of days. Might rattle off a few of these things about stuff. All right, bye.